Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome. Another week, and it's round 2 of the SRF Weekend Warriors, and we are live from the rolling hills of Austria at the iconic Red Bull Ring. A track that started out life a little bit longer, as many tracks did in Europe, and then it's come to be this compact 2.6 mile long track that's full of fast straights and fast swooping corners. Oh wow. We're in for an absolute epic of evening of racing. I'm Tim Cox, we've got Lee Thompson, the virtual production trailer. I'm joined again by Tom Dillon and Taylor Stolworthy, a new name to the commentary booth here at Apex Racing TV. First up for Tom, I think you've only just about got over last week's chaos, excitement and drama that we had.
Yeah, well, I did. I only just get over it. It was very entertaining. For goodness sake, a fantastic track for it, isn't it? And you know, this track very similar as well. Lots of slipstream, very fast circuit as well. Plenty of chance to take wing off and just try and basically get as much straight line speed as possible. It's fantastic as well because in Formula 1 cars, of course, they can lap this in almost a minute flat. Almost a minute flat. They weren't too far off back when Formula 1 cars got very, very fast towards the end of the 2020s, the 2010s, I should say. These cars, though, they're a little bit slower, so it's going to be a bit more of a challenge.
Certainly, and well, Taylor, I mean, funnily enough, using the F1 reference that Tom did, you already mentioned about that beforehand, and you're excited to see the cars go around this track.
Yeah, I certainly am, and again, I've watched a lot of F1 races at Spielberg. I actually haven't watched any on iRacing at Spielberg, but it should be exciting. Smaller cars, a larger grid. It has the makeups of a great race, and it'll be hard to top a race at Laguna Seca, which is one of the most fun tracks to race on at iRacing, so I bet that race was an absolute blast, but we should be set for a great day at Spielberg.
Taylor, that's a controversial comment to kick yourself off on here on Apex Racing TV, the most fun track to race on iRacing.
Well, a bit of irony in that as well because of all the twists and turns.
Well, there you go. I mean, yes, I mean, well, we did have, you mentioned it, absolutely stunning race last time out at Laguna Seca. Definitely feel lots of excitement and drama, to say the least, but well, I suppose it's your American patriotism. It's like me saying, I know Brands Hatch or Alton Park or Silverstone, for example. But just sitting through proceedings, we are roughly just over halfway through qualifying, 20 minutes open qualifying. So that means all the drivers are out on track. But we head out into 40 minutes of racing. It was much longer if you're brand new to the series. The what we currently expect during the officials on iRacing for these cars. Does mean there is a pit stop involved. Expect to see that around about in the window with 25 to 32 minutes into the race. There's somebody, by the sound of things, got things horrifically wrong there, coming into a bit midway through the lap, and I get the feeling it might have been Leone as he headed down in towards Roush. But Marco Pinheiro, the man on form, took victory last time out. He leads the way in qualifying provisional pole, but only by about 0.04 of a second. That's how close things are in this series, as always. Yogmani, your top qualifier in Masters, he's going to provisionally start from third at the moment, but expect things to change. That is for certain, and it's Alan McCain leading the way in Spec 2 right now. Taylor, no, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's, thinking ahead to the race, where are you expecting to see the big action points out on track?
I mean, obviously up the hill, that's going to be one of the most active parts of the track. It's a great overtaking opportunity, but I mean, you'll see some action on lap 1, and then definitely expect some things to settle down and kind of go long term. But yeah, I'd say probably up the hill, maybe coming back down. I'd have to see a little bit more action though before I really have to find a few corners where I'm going to be actively watching.
So there we go. Sitting on the fence. I trust that you find it very comfy there, Taylor. That's for certain. But I completely agree with you. I mean, Tom, you got any alternative opinion on that one? I think they're pretty much safe bets, aren't they? Yeah, up and towards Remus and down towards Slosh Gold, and maybe into Rhines, Yucca Rhines, maybe.
Or if you can get a good run out of turn 1, then you could set up and move quite nicely into turn 3 around this circuit. But also turn 4. You have to have a look at that, and I'm actually looking at my track map in slight bit of confusion trying to figure out which corner is which. But yeah, turn 4 is a big overtaking opportunity around here as well. I mean, we've seen cars sort of overtake each other, run into each other in the real world in so many series down there. So we're currently having a look at Marco Pinheiro, currently, as you mentioned, Tim, 400th of a second to the good in terms of his pole position lap time of 1:45.1. I'm keeping an eye as well on Jorg Marnie, as well as every other car pretty much in that top 7. They're all at the moment on their hot laps. Here is Jorg Marnie as he goes up into, this would be the final couple of corners of the racetrack, wouldn't it? It is. And we can ride on board with the Swiss driver as Pinheiro comes into the pits. Marnie has a little bit of slipstream as well from the car just ahead of him as he runs up to the line here at the Red Bull Ring, looking for pole position. He's not quite going to find it, I don't think, but it did look like it was a little bit of an improvement. 700th of a second off of that pole position time.
Yeah, just having a look. In fact, he actually went a tenth slower. I mean, surprising that. I mean, a lovely little slipstream, as you mentioned. That was Jason Green on the run to line just in front of him there. He also bailed on his lap. But maybe a bit disappointing for Jason Green. Starting 6th at the moment as things stand. Also, I'll tell you another driver who's well out of position by his own standards, Felix Amaus, the Portuguese driver, currently lying in 8th. 4th row of the grid is where he will start from. So well down by his own high standards. And just a bit of a... I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to have a little through the championship standings. So I've just seen what the clock is. A quarter of an hour gone. We've only got 5 minutes left in qualifying. So let's just refresh our memory for exactly where we're up to so far this season. And starting off with Spec 1, first of all, is, well, needs to say Marcos Pinheiro, who leads the way after winning last time out. Giancarlo Scuola, who, by my recollection, is looking for the list of drivers here today. He is not joining us, so he will lose that second place in the championship. Neither is Alberto Pellegrini either. No, apologies, he's second. I should have spotted that one. So there you go, he's third, and Jason Green fourth, and Mayer, Gould, Bertoni, Elson, Weishuzel, and Claudio Andrea running out your top 10 there. Across now into Spec 2, Josh Justice leads the way there with Ken Batley, Phil Berry, Gibson, of course, after only one round even. Incredibly tight in the points. Jeff Webker, David Swig, Ella McCain. Well, they'd be disappointed not to leaving after round 1, but that may will change after today. Rashad Glagrini and Phil Perkins running out your 9 drivers in there into Masters. Well, unexpected maybe. Tom Gradwell taking the victory last time out. That was due to contact and incidents that Murakami and Marnie got involved in. Jim Brewster currently lies in second. I know he's going to be chuffed a bit for that one. Likewise with Gary Walbolt in third. Then it's Bradshaw, Cathcart, Horniak, Kern Mitchell, Murakami, Marnie and Ray to round out your Masters standings. And, well, that's where we're getting through things here. Just looking at McCain right now, leader in Spec 2 qualifying. Oh, well, he's going to have to jump to the pits quick if he wants to get another lap in, isn't he, Tom? I mean, luckily, a bit shorter lap time, as Taylor alluded to earlier. Also yourself, I think it was yourself actually, wasn't it, Tom? So it's not somewhere like the Nordschleife, for example, where, you know, if you have an incident like that towards the end of the lap, then that's going to be qualifying done and dusted for you at this stage of the race. But yeah, he's going to have to get a bit of a wiggle on if he wants to try and improve on 21st.
Yeah, best part of 2 minutes though, still the lap, remember, so perhaps only another lap. Phil Berry is, I was going to say, looking good, but he's a little bit wide down into turn 1, so that will be frustrating for him. As for the rest of the grid, I'm having a look at my timing screen, Tim. There isn't a great deal going on at the moment. There's not really anyone making any major improvements. Phil's got a nice little slipstream from the 32 car just ahead of him, but he's struggling with an understeer at the moment, and I think that'll be a frustration for me. Look at the extent of how poor the exit that he got there in that AAA car out of turn 3. That's definitely looking like a bit of a frustrating ride for him at the moment. Qualifying done potentially for the car we saw just coming into the pits as we take a look at Jason Perry trying to get past a car that's got it all wrong. I think there was 2 people tripping over each other there, Tim, perhaps. Yes,
I think Jason Green was the other one of them, and I think potentially Yogmani might have been the other one involved there. Yeah, they're both appearing, showing like they're heading out the pits, so I think my inclination may well be right as Panera just having a bit of a look up the inside there. That's going to compromise the pair of them. So, no, it's all gone wrong. It's all got a bit messy. That was Marnie who was heading out of the pits. Wow, 4 cars involved there. I think Murakami may well have been the other one. And there's Felix Mouse. No, Felix Mouse, in fact, was the other driver. So that's not looking good for him. Currently like 7th in qualifying, starting from the 4th row. Unless he can get straight back in. Of course, the drivers do have a little bit of overtime to complete out their lap that they start just before the checkered flag has flown, if they can get across the line before it flies with when we hit that 20-minute mark. Although there's only 1 minute remaining, so they are going to struggle. Like Panero. Pellegrini, whereabouts is he on the lap? He's just started, so he's just managed to get in to start another flying lap. So is this driver as well, Jason Green. In fact, he may well get another bite of the cherry here, as he's already halfway around the circuit. So another driver needs to improve here. That is for certain. But I mean, so many drivers out of position, but then so easy to do so. A second covers first all the way down to, well, you may as well throw in Antonio Reyes and Megan Overstreet. It's only fractionally over, in fact. 700ths a piece for both of them over that 1 second mark, 18th and 19th respectively. But well, our top 6 all in the pit lane now, so I don't think we're going to see them again. Green needing to dig deep here as he's on his out lap, needs to get across the line, but I don't think he's going to make it across. No, he's not. There we go, Tom.
Into the pits, and the checker flag starts flying, but I'm not too sure there's too many people on a lap. Simios is going to try and finish off his lap. He's in 7th position. We're looking at Claudio Andrea Gardini. Is there going to be any final improvement from him? And by the looks of things, there isn't. He backs out of that corner very, very early indeed. Here we go then. Jeff Jacobson, number 40 car, rounding the final 2 corners of this circuit. 25 seconds into that overtime. After the 20, and he's got it all wrong out of the final corner straight off of the racetrack, and I think that just about does it, gentlemen.
I believe it does for quite a few of our drivers. There's still a few out there to complete laps, this being one of them, Steve Elson. Although from that line heading down towards Jochen Wright, then I don't think he's going to be improving on that lap for certain. Simon Mayer being one of them who definitely on a more flying lap. Let's find out, as well, maybe just distracted by the car running wide there. He's going to come across the line. Currently down in 10th place at the moment. Just a shade under half a second. And, well, there you go. Good enough to elevate himself up into 8th. 2 places gained and a row on the grid. as there's Phil Perkins parking the car out on the inside. Evandro Dantas, would he have got across the line in time? I'm not sure to start flying up. No, he wouldn't. The Brazilian heads into the pits there. And I think that could well be a done and dusted for everyone. I don't think there's going to be anyone left on flying laps as we just wait for the session now to roll over into the race. We've got about 50 seconds or so for that to do the overstreet. Now there's a driver looking for a bit of redemption here, but we're starting all the way down in 20th, row 10 of the grid. She'll looking for much better fortunes than what she had in Laguna Seca only 1 week ago here on Apex Racing TV. And well, we've got a chance now. A bit of a mention to, well, we've got two fantastic sponsors for this series. First off, RaceVoice. You can see that logo up in the top right corner of the screen. Now, RaceVoice are a simple way to transform complicated performance data into easy-to-understand voice notifications alert. They have over 16 different notifications, including up and down shift, over rev alert, corner entry, turn in, and exit speeds. It provides immediate feedback on driver and vehicle performance. You can find out more about them by heading across to racevoice.com. And also, well, they came on board last season, I believe it was, Apex Racing Academy. Another one of our sponsors this series, generously giving some of their funds towards it. And, well, 29 data packs, involving setups, track guides, integration with VRS, Virtual Racing School. They also provide weekly group coaching sessions, one-on-one sessions, and much, much more. Make sure you check them out if you want to go faster on road or oval. That's for sure. Well, everyone's just heading onto the grid and firing up behind the Porsche 911 safety car. Let's take you through your grid. Marco Pinero starts on pole once again alongside Alberto Pellegrini. Kane Lasky makes up row 2 with your top qualifying masters, Jorg Marni. Row 3 sees Dudu Castro form up alongside Raul Tavino, Felix Miles and Simon Mayer making up row 4. Jason's green, he's got Evandro Dantas next to him to round out that top 10. And Tom, over to you for the next set of 10.
Visual is in 11th with Flavio and Darlo in 12th. And our next page is Alan McCain for your Spec 2 in the 2-12. Steve Elson starts 14th. Dan Wood in 15th with Bradford Gould in 16th. Next row of the grid is Claudio Gardini and Jason Perry, with the rest of the top 20 being Antonio Rice, Jeanette and Megan Overstreet. Taylor, take us through the next 10.
Yep, Jesus A. Rodriguez is going to be starting in 21st with Gradwell. The Australian driver starting in 22nd. Phil Berry, who's actually second in the Spec 2 class, starting in 23rd. Jeff Webker, third in Spec 2 and 24th. Ken Batley, Jim Brewster are going to be on row 13 at 25th and 26th. Jeff Jacobson and Andrew Love in 27th and 28th. Brad Cathcart and Stephen Mitchell in 29th and 30th. And I'll hand it back to you for the final few drivers.
No worries at all. Joshua Justice makes up row 16 with Ian Gibson. We've got Phil Perkins and Jenny Long in the Italian on row 17. Row 18, Luca Leone and Michael Latolo. And then through to the next bit, we have got Caleb Pocock and Bob Kern on row 19. Row 20, Gary Walbot and Michelle Verglini with Andres Faisoni. Watch out for him. Never qualifies, always comes through the pack. Starts dead last, 41st. All by himself. Where will he finish? All or nothing, always from him. Let's find out. As the driver's just heading out now. Safety car pulls in. Rolling start as always in this series. As Marco Pinero now down to him to control the pace from pole. Rounds the final corner. Red Bull Mobile. As let's get ready to go racing here from the Red Bull Ring in round 2 of the SRF Weekend Warriors, as we are green and we are go, and already it's 4 wide on the run down towards turn 1. Hold tight, everyone, breathe in, here we go, as they still manage 3-1 as they squeeze in and just about make it through. It's Welch Vino, the Brazilian, who makes up the places they're up to. Also, Jason Green coming alongside, he's had a good start, he's made up 2 places as well. As all Dan Wood falling through the order there. Not what he would have hoped for at the start, and not going to be an easy afternoon in the office for him at all. We head through Remus for the first time. This tricky right hand and slowest part on the circuit here. Bit of banging doors, but I think these cars did have doors. They would definitely be banging them through Remus as they head down the hill now towards Sloshgold. Well, relatively safe getaway for everyone here, Tom.
Pellegrini totally cut across onto the inside line as they came to the run down that straight. Didn't know that was allowed in a rolling start, but it worked for him. He's been able to hold on to second position. Hugh Marnie is trying to do what he can. We're having a look at Megan Overstreet out to 15th position, the purple car just in the centre of your screen, the 44 car at the moment. Then we switch back over here, trying to find people making positions. Kane J. Lasky looking for 4th position, but he's under pressure more pressingly from Castro for that 5th. So top 5 on the line here, top 4 in Spec 1, because of course Yorkmani is one of your Masters driver, though I suspect that all of these guys are going to be trying for the overall positions. I don't really care too much about the classes. Kane here is going to have to go on the defensive relatively soon, I think.
Certainly as well. Those top 4 really starting to break away now, just form a breakaway group. There's Panero, Pellegrini, Marnie and Tabino in that top 4. Then they've got about a second back to the best of the rest that starts in 5th and ends all the way down in 36th place right now. Trying to make a move there was Jason Perry. I can hear screeches. I think there's been an incident down at turn 1. Well, there you go. Flavio Andalo lost it. He's managed to recover it. No damage to his car, but in doing so, he's lost 14 places there, Taylor.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal to have an incident like that into turn 1, and he's going to have to make it all the way back up. As we take a look in the midfield, Hene under attack, but has a little bit of space as they go up the hill, and now down to the massive straight all the way at the top of the track.
Well, I think there's been a big incident somewhere in the background there. Oh, there you go. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe more, all involved. Who have got involved in there? Joshua Justice, Yanni Longin, Andres Bertoni made a cracking start, and well, it's all undone in an instant. I think maybe even Bradford Gould might have been caught up in that. He's down a lot of places. He's down 16 so far. Well, made that 15 now. He's just got past Michael Latoro. Well, he's still battling away with him there. So all battles up and down through the field. Well, our top 4, they're extending that gap, though, getting away now 1.2 seconds. Panero controlling things from the front, and well, we'll see if we can get a replay. Here we go of exactly what went down at Remus. So Stephen Mitchell involved in the 917, the Danish driver there. So just tries to cover off a little bit defensive. Oh wow, everyone's checking out free wide. Oh, they tried to make it 4 wide. That was never going to work. Well, Mitchell getting away with that one, and it was everyone behind them then. They're all piled up. Wow, a big incident there, Tom.
Yeah, and I think there was a car upside down as well. Look, interesting to see here what happened to these cars. I see someone without a wing there. Is that Bradford Gould potentially? No, we're back to live pictures as we see Megan Overstreet on her quest back up the field, potentially into a top 10 spot. That'll definitely be what she's eyeing up. But here is a move. It's Dantas looking to defend in the 32. He's finding himself under pressure from Mayer, I believe. Mayer's on that inside line. It looks like Mayer is able to get through. Is he? This is, yeah, there he is, into 9th position, but he's under pressure now from the 79 car, who is on that inside line. He's going to open up a bit of a 2 wide, NASCAR style, as they go down into turn 4. The 212 car getting his finger into the pie as well. Down the inside he goes on the number 5. Could go from bad to worse here. For our 32 car, it falls all the way down into 13th position. 56 helps himself to a spot as well, and that is just pack racing for you in relatively low powered race cars like these, Tim.
That's Jason Perry running wide. Yeah, it was Steve Elson and Alan McCain, who's in the 2-on-2 machine, leader in Spec 2, who saw the opportunity, came absolutely storming through there, where Mayer and Sousa were both slow off the corner, really hampered their exit. It's now taken McCain up 2 places overall, obviously still leading in class, now up into 11th. In terms of Masters, Yogmani still leads that, of course, 3rd overall, but it's more interesting that battle for 2nd. Antonio raced down as 16th, and Tom Gradwell 18th overall, respectively, 2nd and 3rd in class for those two. So you see Flavio Andalo there just falling through the order. A Brazilian, not what he would have hoped for here from Red Bull. It's just starting to space out a little bit now, isn't it, Taylor? I would say things have calmed down, but in this series, just blink of an eye and it all shifts and flips on its head and kicks off again.
Yeah, and you might see a little bit of quiet racing up front, but I'm looking at that middle pack and then the pack right behind it. They're all so close to each other, and I expect some action as we look. Smos won't be under attack, but Lasky and Castro were getting active behind him. And again, single file in the rear. It doesn't take much. Only a weak exit will allow someone to go to the inside and have a go.
Head down the hill now towards Slosh Gold, and you see a bit of a move happening here. Marnie having a look up the inside of Pellegrini, moves to driver's right. A lovely textbook overtake up the inside, but you need to be careful of the exit here, because you can invoke a bit of a cutback, but Marnie, he's a wily old fox. That's why he's in Masters after he came of age. That's Mayer. He's had a incident involving, I think, himself and Elson, and maybe even Evander. I'm sure it's still Evander Dantas, in fact. Move away from the scene of the crime very slowly, very gingerly. So all those three have come together there somehow, some way. And McCain having a bit of damage to the front right there, Tom, if my eyes do not deceive me.
I'm not too sure what to look for in terms of
Yeah,
damage,
front,
Tim, I have to say.
the
Yeah, there you go.
little bit
see what you
bent
mean.
in.
It does look a little bit bent in. That'll be a tough ride for him as well. Shame about Mayer. He was going well up until that point, running comfortably inside of the top 10, making good progress too, but that's a bit of a step back for him. Here's Steve Elson then, looking for 15th position. He is trying to attack Rodriguez, who is sat in at 15th at the moment in that 76 car. Is this a run out of the final corner for Steve Elson? He's going to try and pull alongside, I think. So what, not the greatest overtaking opportunity, not really a place you typically defend either. So Steve going to be having to think about his run down into turn 3. I found out myself not to defend into there last time I started on pole position around this racetrack. This is Castro, is able to find himself up a position on Lasky. Lasky trying to come back at him, but not quite able to slide one down the inside. I'm still keeping an eye on that Elson Rodriguez battle as Andalo's got past Jacobson further down. Here it is then. This is Jeff Jacobson trying to get down the inside. It's Andalo on the outside, if I'm not mistaken, in that 40 car. No, it isn't. Andalo on the inside. Jacobson is able to get himself through and into 23rd position. It's not much, to be honest with you, 23rd position, Tim, as Dantes gets past Gardini, but it is just that little bit of encouragement you need to go further forward.
Some cracking little battles, haven't we? Little clusters of drivers, gaggles of cars. But it's amazed me the amount of people with damage, and it all seems to be to the front right corner. Dantas being another one joining that club. Obviously, we saw McCain, as mentioned earlier on. There's a couple of other drivers that seem, rolling around with all with damage to that front right corner. It definitely seems to be the hot spot on the contact point during the race so far. But see Dantas there just trying to make his way past Felix Mouse, who's well down on pace by his own high standards. Normally you expect to see him battling away for the lead with Marco Pinero, but finds himself, around about, a couple of seconds, 3 seconds in fact, off the pace. As here comes Castro, the bump draft info, trying to close up that gap on that group ahead of them, that top 4. They want to stay in the fight, stay in with that as well. In fact, actually, just looking at it, I didn't spot that off camera. Pinero and Marnie have just managed to eke out a little bit of a gap over one another. In fact, themselves both over Pellegrini here. It's all starting to shift around and evolve this, isn't it, Taylor, right now? This, only 9 minutes, quarter of the race gone nearly.
Yeah, for sure, and we see this lead pack staying close together, and it's only a 7/10 gap for Pinero in front, so while there is a bit of a gap, you've also got 2 drivers behind that can help you get a little bit closer, and certainly Pellegrini would love to close down to a championship rival.
Now they are coming up a bit of traffic. Joshua Justice just ahead of them, as you see. Well, that's over. She already got the move done on McCain, and I think she self-told mentioned, can she get inside the top 10? Well, she's got it done, up 10 places, into 10th is the young American, and well, astounding results so far. How much further can she climb? Well, 3.8 seconds is the gap to Vlysosha, the Cheshire driver in front of him, in 9th. So, a bit of a tall order, but a bit of a compliant McCain and Dantas behind to help. As you mentioned earlier there, Taylor, working together in that pack mentality, bit of bump drafting down the long straights here at Red Bull Ring. Maybe they might be able to close up that gap, and maybe a little bit of pit strategy just added in too to help slash that gap down. But well, with 10 minutes gone, quarter race distance complete. Pinero leads for Armani, Tabino, Pellegrini, Samals, Castro, Lasky, Green, Vosusel, Levstreet, your top 10. Marnie leading in Masters, second overall. McCain, leader in Spec 2. He's 11th. And those two drivers have commanding leads over the respective drivers in their classes as well. Starting off with a flurry of pit lane activity. Jeff Wubker, Phil Berry, Flavio Andalo all into the pits. Bit early on, but Taylor, if I'm mistaken, early enough that they will get themselves home with this additional fuel.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we were talking about before the race, thinking about 25 to 30 minutes is around the expected times for pitting for extra fuel. So they're doing the numbers, they're running the calculations, and we'll see if a very massive undercut can work out. And if you're doing it with the group, you'll have some people to draft with, and it may work out paying dividends in the end.
So here we go. Samals just losing a place there. Castro getting the move done. But they're locking up, losing. He's out into the gravel and all his hard work undone. And, well, loses the place he gained, plus some more as Kane Lasky heads through. But Jason Green caught up. Just went for the wider exit and ends up getting cut off by Castro, who's coming back onto the track there, Tom. I tell you, it started to get a little bit wild and quite early on in the race as well. 11 minutes. Didn't normally kick off until the last 15, but Castro's struggling and fighting with the car right now.
He is. I think maybe potentially a little bit of tyre wear popping in. Here he is under pressure. Then Jason Green has caught well up to him, but I think again it's the pack mentality starting to take precedence, because Green could have really easily making a move there and decided against it. But you've got to think, I had a bit of pack mentality in my kart race this morning, Tim, where Saul was doing the finger forward, saying, let's go, let's fight this pack. But there comes a point where you think, actually, no, I want the position. And I think that's the interesting thing here that these guys have got to manage. You've got to sit there thinking, well, actually, when do I want this position? And here goes an example of that, as I think that was McCain looking to the inside. It was Dantes actually looking to the inside of McCain. I think it's even more of a pressing point when you've got a Spec 1 versus a Spec 2 driver, potentially even a Masters versus a Spec 1 driver. Because I think, actually, realistically speaking, we're not in the same race.
It is, but this is the thing about this championship. It's all about your overall position. Those points counting. It's just seeing Marnie now getting pushed past Joshua Justice there. 90. It's 199 officially, but 99 on his car when he loses it there. And Tabino just lives the fight another day. He did have a bit of a look, and he looks again against Marnie, but they need to be careful because look, already Marco Panero opening up a 1.3 second lead over these three drivers behind him, who are being left to battle over second and third. Last two places on the podium. And Alberto Pellegrini down 2 places. Haven't started on the front row with Panero down to 4th. Maybe feeling like he's being left behind, left trailing right now. And just keep an eye on that group behind. They've broken up a little bit after Castro ran in deep, but equally, Samals and Lasky, they're coming along for the ride and coming along for the fight, and I think they're starting to slightly shrink that gap, aren't they, a little bit, maybe, Taylor?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like they're only about 1.5 seconds back from Pellegrini, who's also falling a little bit further behind Tabino. And I know for those two, they're probably a little bit annoyed that Manny isn't able to keep pace exactly with Panero, who is just cruising ahead, about to reach, I think, a 2-second gap as we go up the hill. But yeah, for sure, we could see 5th and 6th joining that fight as they get even closer.
There you go, look, 2 seconds now the gap. Panero, I think back to Long Beach last season, and Panero just found something within the car that just nobody else did. It'd been brewing all season long, taking real command of this championship by that stage anyway. But, there's a bit of contact and nearly running wide there. The 53 of Yad Sabina, the Brazilian, and in fact, he's going to lose a place there to Pellegrini maybe as they go side by side on the run down the hill. Pellegrini pushing Marnie there to ensure he keeps hold of, Marnie keeping hold of second, but Pellegrini getting up into third as there's no room available at the end to the right-hand side to get the move done on Marnie. But yeah, Panero, now look, nearly 4 tenths in this first half of the lap alone. He's managed to eke out on these drivers. Yeah, again, displaying that he's definitely a cut above the rest this season, as Lasky's got past some miles for 5th as well, a little bit further down. As well, now it all comes down to when will Panero choose to pit, Tom? with this is he's got all the options available, hasn't he? He's got 2.6 seconds behind him. He's got a bit of a healthy gap to the next car in front of him as well in terms of lap traffic. The world's his oyster.
I'd be eyeing up a bit of a reactionary sort of pit stop strategy. Wait till the guys behind you pit. Just go as long as you can. All of these guys, it was clarified to us actually throughout the course of the week that all of these guys start on the same fuel load. So that is something they'll all have in mind. They should theoretically all be able to do the same amount. Pit stops basically are all dependent on when you want to pit. McCain has got it all wrong, and that's quite a pressing point because he's into the pits and presumably out of the race behind the wall, figuratively into the garage. This is Jorg Marni under pressure then. Pellegrini looking to that inside line, looking for second position. Marni holds it around the outside, but I think Pellegrini just about gets to the apex first. Switchback, oh so powerful, out of turn 3 at Austria. Then it's going to be Marni who tries to use it on that inside line then. Here he goes, trying to make a move up into turn 4. You're on board with Kane J. Lasky, who's trying to reap the rewards of whatever happens between these two. Marni on the inside line gets the better of the braking performance. Here goes Tabino. I apologise, not Lasky. It was on my overlay slightly wrong, but here goes Tabino trying to pick up the piece of whatever happens. Marni with a perfect counter-attack though, Tim.
And interestingly, you know, Lasky and Samaras have worked together and they've managed to really close the gap up to these three who've just been left in the week and put out nearly 4 seconds, the gap there that he's managed to extend as these lots just quarrel and over the second place. And that's now become, what, a 5-way fight over the last 2 places on the podium overall. It's further down through the field. A real cluster, a gaggle of Masters drivers here. Gradwell looking comfortable for second in class, 15th overall, but it's Brewster battling Mitchell, Love, all involved there. A 4-way fight over third in classes, over the street into the pits. So she's gone very early, hasn't she, Taylor? Just shy of half race distance, but maybe just trying to find a bit of fresh air or somebody to get away with some battling drivers ahead of her as well. We're seeing it yet again, the fight all the way up the hill.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to McCain's pit stop, he's back on the track and he's just doing fine. So I think maybe he was also trying a gamble on the strategy, just like Overstreet as well. So we'll have to see. Jacobson is also electing to pit as well. So maybe we do have a little more variety in pit strategy as we enter just about the halfway point of the race. A big group here as we go back to that fight for the lead. Marni has fallen back. Tabino maybe getting challenged on the inside by Pellegrini as they reach, going down the long straight, but now they'll sort themselves back out, entering the turn. Pellegrini, Tabino, Marni, and then a massive battle. Lasky, Castro, everyone else from 2nd to 8th, only within 2 seconds of each other. This is absolutely beautiful as we continue through what would be the standard second sector of the track. Now the more slower section with a lot more of the high-speed corners. Everyone in a single file. The dual battles have just ended for now, but as we go back up the hill, they should resume again. Pellegrini might try to get away.
Oh, fascinating stuff, isn't it? Absolutely scintillating. As well, the 2 Brazilians up into 2nd and 3rd as they samba and scythe their way through the field with all that Brazilian flair. Well, there you go. Marni, Samaras, Castro all darts into the pits, all running wide, pushing it to the absolute maximum before they throw out the anchor, slow it down, and I'm not sure if they either timed that to perfection or if any of them got done for speeding on pit entry. We'll find out. 40 seconds is the penalty. As Gardini also into the pits from 10th place, I believe they've come in from. And also, Jason Green quietly chipping away, but all the battle in front of him, he's now caught up into this group as well now. This is absolutely fascinating how this one's going to play out between these guys, isn't it, Tom?
I think it was smart for Marni to come into the pits at this stage. He knows that he's running this delicate dance where one place he loses and then all of a sudden he's down 3 places. Here's the 53 car going to the inside. This is for 2nd position. Pellegrini has had a tough run to get himself up into 2nd, and now he's going to lose 2nd. João Tabino is going to get ahead just before the corner even starts. Pellegrini might have more defending to do yet as Lasky is just behind him, but I think it was smart from Marnie. He was able to come into the pits, get himself a little bit of a splash of fuel, and hopefully come out in a relative amount of clean air to gain all about 0.2 of a second or so that he needs on these battling cars. But the pit lane is probably the greatest gainer and loser in terms of seconds on the entire racetrack. But literally how you enter the pit lane can lose you 0.2 of a second. It's a very, very delicate dance. He's got to do some of it on the racetrack as well.
It's a tricky pit entry here as well. You know, trying to commit and carry as much speed as you want through the penultimate corner, while still, you know, scrumming up just enough as Kane Lasky darts into the pits. So, be interested to see where he comes out in amongst that group that pitted earlier. Samal's got the jump on Marnie. So he's actually the highest of everyone who has pitted so far. He's all the way down in 12th position, but does have Marnie and Castro hot on his heels. And in fact, Mitchell and Gibson involved in that battle too, although those latter two are yet to pit so far. Gibson has taken the provisional lead in Spec 2. However, McCain has stopped and he's only wants to make seconds behind him, so that will change back around again. Gradwell provisionally leading in Masters right now, but again, he's yet to stop. Neither is Jim Brewster, who's second in class. There's Lasky coming out of the pits, and I think he's going to come quite a bit down behind. Yes, he is. Samals, Marnie, and Castro. So, well, that's one less driver to potentially to have to worry about. And this crazy conundrum of drivers all battling out for second, Taylor.
Yeah, indeed. It's been an exciting fight, and even though I think half of that pack that was in that 2nd through 8th fight have gone in and gotten some more fuel, we still have Tabino, Pellegrini, and Green still battling it out, as Gradwell is currently defending as we enter this turn. He's going to hold on as Elson challenges from behind. Gradwell's currently first in class for Spec 2, but that will change when he comes into pit. Currently, the inherited leader would still be Mani, who is 12th overall and 4th in class, despite having pit, unlike Brewster.
So that's, Elson, never tried. I tell you what, front right and rear right damage there for Elson. It's going to affect the slipstream ability of that car. It's at least a little bit of top speed, but still carrying on, still on an absolute epic one right now is the Brit up 5 places. Pit stop adjusted, Brewster. Not quite the highest climber, that he's up in 16th as Dantas into the pits. Another one coming in, he's in more of the battle just behind him. Jesus Rodriguez heads through. He's going to head up into 6th place overall after Dantas popping into the pit lane there, but a bit of an update of what's happening right up front. Marco Panera now 7.5 seconds on the advantage that he's got. As I'm sure those two were the opposite way round. It's Elson now ahead of Gradwell.
He has got past, yeah. They just saw that move happen. Who's that coming back into play? Is that Brewster who might be overtaken again? I'm not too sure. No, it's lap traffic. It's a back marker, I think. Here's Panera then, your race leader, who is due in any second now. He's pulled out 7.7 seconds worth of an advantage over everyone else, and I think he'll probably be thinking anytime soon to come into the pits. Though what you've got to remember is as well, let's assume they're not changing tyres in these cars, and they can indeed go all the way throughout the distance. We haven't seen a pit stop actually on the screen yet, so I'm not too sure whether they will take tyres. Not got much experience in these cars either, but it's assumed they're not. Right now, theoretically, Panero is at the fastest he's going to be with that lighter fuel load. So that is also something to keep an eye on. It's not necessarily a case of he's going to, get faster after the pit stop, or he's undercut pressure, especially with Marnie now having a battle with Castro, Brewster, and Simios.
Now, in terms of, you say about the tyre change, generally they don't. Sometimes you might see the drivers gamble on it when it's really high track temperature, which I've just checked, funnily enough, 47 degrees Celsius, that's what, around about 110, 115 Fahrenheit, if memory serves me right. So it's definitely a hot one out there today in Austria. As there is Weiss Schlusel currently lying 5th overall. Marnie is 3rd in class right now, but as we said, will come out net first after Gradwell and Redwell are... Oh, sorry, smells as well. No, sorry, I'm losing the train of thought here. Yes, so there you go. Brewster into the pit. So well, no, he's got it a bit wrong. I think that, yes, Marnie's come past him on track as he gets a bit loose, a bit Larry there through turn 1. So it's a second in class, 11th overall, and well, some Mouse is starting to eke out a bit of a gap over Castro and Marnie. But what have the guys in front of them managed to pull out? Looking at lap times as well right now, Taylor. Samals last time around 46.3, whereas that group ahead of them, high 46s, low 47s between the three of them of Tabino, Pellegrini and Green. So I don't want to put guest commentator on him, but Felix Samals, Portuguese driver, looking good to maybe take second here.
I definitely agree, and the big thing as well is Samaus is already pitted. He doesn't have to again if he doesn't want to, and he actually does have the fastest lap of the race. He's got 1:45.28, and right now he is lapping, as you mentioned, faster than a lot of the other drivers he's around. The only driver who is lapping faster on track, you guessed it, it's Marco Pinero. He had a 1:46.
This is going to be our acid test, isn't it? And sorry to cut across you because Yazbino into the pits. So the driver really embroiled in that battle for second. In fact, came in from second. So there's Yogmani with Castro in front of them. They've got Felix Samals just in front of them. Pino's just gone up on the jacks. So taking on board fuel. And I think, do you know what? I think maybe all of them have done enough here to get past him. As we got still stay. No, that's him just moving in the foreground there. The black car. Oh, they're going to come out incredibly close here on Pix exit as we run a ball with Young Marnie. Keep your eyes peeled to the right, folks. Well, as we look back from them, they've cleared him. Well, now that tells you everything, doesn't it? So Samals, yes, definitely looking good here, Tom, for second. And in fact, Castro looking good for third overall.
Yes, absolutely. And just to clarify our point, we were saying that Hyogmani is net P1 in class. He's obviously net P4 now overall. Alberto Pellegrini is catching up and past, I think, some lapped traffic, because that's not a major concern for him. Pinero still yet to stop, of course. 10 seconds of a gap. He should be relatively comfortable in terms of keeping that lead. But he's got to be a little bit careful. Simios then is 33 seconds down. Is he gap to leader? That should be just about enough. I can't quite tell. But Marco Pinero then probably due in any second now. I apologise, that's not lap traffic for Pellegrini. In fact, that is Jason Green who was caught up. I was so sure it was lap traffic because Jason Green was essentially nowhere for quite a lot of this race. He's chipped away, he's caught up to the guys ahead of him, and now is right on the back of Pellegrini trying to fight for second. The problem is, these guys know that whilst they still owe us a pit stop, they're not particularly going to be best helped by battling each other and losing all of that time to the chasing pack. So I think there might just be a little bit of smart gamesmanship here.
That's fascinating, and this is our thing. They probably can't quite work out as all Gradwell into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. And in fact, Brewster heads past him, but Brewster yet to stop.
And a second pit stop for Alan McCain. He's already pit today.
Oh no, it's all gone wrong for McCain. Well, from what looked like a commanding stance in Spec 2, wow, that's going to really put the cat amongst the pigeons. And not having the best of rounds last time out either at Laguna Seca. So at the moment, Gibson leads Spec 2, but he is yet to stop. Berry has stopped. He's third in class, 21st overall right now. But he's about, well, actually, it's about 14 seconds down, no, apologies, about 20 seconds down the road. So that's going to be good enough to elevate himself into the lead in class. Man from Honda is there. Oh, that's Greener Hella Pellegrini there, Tom.
Yep, just absolutely disregarding what I had to say and making me look like a right muppet, but he's through and gained a fair bit as Pinero's into the pits.
Here we go. Here we go. Will anyone else continue on? And well, managed to lead this lap for a way to prevent Marco Pinero from leading every single lap. Wow, Pellegrini's in. Green carries on again. Weisslusel is into the pits too. So Pinero will not lead every single lap. Green will get one in. As Castro is, oh, he's ahead of Fixmouse. Now, Fixmouse had managed to eke out quite a bit of a gap, hadn't he, Taylor, if memory serves me right? About nearly a second, so he's lost all that time. So you wonder, maybe, is that some back markers that have played a little bit part of that story?
Yeah, potentially, because again, at this part of the race, you'll see the drivers at the tail end of the field starting to get away for the drivers in the middle of the pack further down the road, because we've seen when we've watched Panero battle through some lap traffic. So certainly it could have happened, but also Smouse has been incredibly fast, so it may have just been pure pace alone to find that final second, and I think he might be making an attack up the hill, as there is a lapped car for Castro. They're actually 3 abreast as they head to the top. Smouse on the outside, if he can keep the traction, he'll keep the position. No need for the traction. He will be in front 3rd overall, and would be 2nd in hand since Green still has to pit.
See where Castro just yielded there, tucked himself in, didn't want to compromise himself on corner exit because he knew full well Jorg Marni would have slipped one up, well, either driver's left, driver's right, inside, outside, wouldn't matter whatsoever, would have found a way through, would have powered himself down the hill into 3rd overall. They thought, though, sorry, apologies, would be 4th overall at the moment, net 3rd overall is Green. There he is, our leader at the moment, but he's yet to stop. And based on where Pellegrini, well, Tapino's really, really lost out there. So he was 2nd before everyone pretty much started as Green is in. But Pellegrini has come out in front of him, only just so 2 tenths. Separating those two, that is your battle for 6th place. It'll be interesting to see where Green comes out amongst them. Or even if he comes out in front of them, Tom, maybe. It's a really, really tricky one to call this. It's going to be so close as it always is here in Weekend Warriors.
I think he'll actually fall quite far down the order. I can't see him emerging top 5 here with a 40-second pit stop. That being said, I might be totally wrong. Here he is, going out to pit exit, Jason Green. So maybe there's a little bit of a chance for him here. It's going to be very close here. The chasing pack go through turn 1. You can see Green is going to put the throttle down. He will lose out, but he's not going to lose out by that big of a margin. There he goes into 5th position. They're still side by side, the 2-2-2 on that inside. He is actually letting this pack through. So we're looking at the battle between Sirius, Castro and Marni. Then you can see just at the back of that pack is Green at the moment. So that has actually worked out quite nicely for him, I'd say, Tim.
I'm genuinely amazed because based on the pace of everyone around him and where he should come out, and he's done nothing special in terms of his pit stop. Stationary, for example, well, maybe a similar time to everyone else around him, maybe slightly quicker, but there's not a lot in it, but it's really elevated him and jumped him. He's had the in lap of his life, and now he's in with a shout of battling out for 2nd. Panero's gone, 9.3 seconds, nearly clear of this battle for 2nd, the 4-way battle. Smiles, Castro, Marni, and Green all into lock. Barney still looking good for that win in Masters. Racing Gradwell, 2nd and 3rd in class, 13th overall and 14th overall. That's in Masters. Spec 2. Well, despite his additional pit stop, Alan McCain still remains in the lead of that class. He's 15th. However, Berry and Wubka still have managed to close up the gap to them. 15th, 17th and 18th for Spec 2 overall right now. Gibson a little bit far down, so he won't play a part in that, but there's only about a 4-second spread between the top 3 in Spec 2, so not very much to play for. And in fact, I don't think necessarily Masters necessarily over and done with here, Taylor. Only 3 seconds between Race and Gradwell. 13th and 14th, I mentioned earlier, between those two.
Yeah, they certainly could have a pretty entertaining finish. They're pretty close together, although I think it's a little bit faster at the moment than Gradwell. Last lap was 47.16, Gradwell 47.37. But I also want to quickly mention that, yeah, McCain 2 pit stops, but he's just been a cut above the rest in Spec 2, and I think he's starting to pull away again from Barry and Wubker.
Displaying the pace that McCain definitely has. Obviously, he learned a lot from his previous teammates, Aero Norm, who was the title for the most amount of championships, the record for that in this series. Absolutely dominated when he came along and, well, displaced David Gaspers from that honour, who had 5 titles to his name. Norm eclipsed that one with 7 to his name. It'll take a lot to knock him off from that one. As we run aboard with Green at the moment, tail end this four-way battle for second. Who's going to clinch this one, Tom? We've got less than 5 minutes remaining. All or nothing, really, now.
Interesting to see how Marnie plays this as well. I know that the points are overall, but with Reese all the way down in 14th, is that Panero into the pit lane again?
It is. Oh,
What's
no, is he
there?
Well, he hasn't underfueled the car. He can't have done that. Well, has he hit the instant limit? Maybe, but wow, the dominating display.
He's into the slow lane. He's into the box, I think. So that is Panero doing something here and out of the running. So Castro now is suddenly finding himself in a battle for the lead of the race. They all are. This is absolutely huge. As at the back, Jason Green is looking at Jörg Marnie. They're battling through down into turn 3. The two leaders not quite battling just yet, but here goes Green down the inside on Marnie. You can see side by side of the front as well as Simios looks to pass Castro. He can't quite get ahead. Green can. So Green gets himself onto the overall podium and surely now senses an unlikely victory, Tim.
Well, this is all of a sudden, in an instant, flipped on its head. Panero all the way down into 8th. That additional pit stop has really hurt him. McCain's made his way past Gradwell for 14th overall, way down through the field off camera. But right now, it's all about this battle for our top 4. Who's going to take victory? Who's got it within them? 3 minutes left on the clock. On my recollection, we've got 2 laps left remaining here for Red Bull Ring. 2 sets of opportunities to get it done. Castro in command at the moment. He leads from Samals Green. And don't discredit Marnie. He may be at the back of this 4-car train, but he knows how to win in this series. So does Samal, so does Green. Castro, not so much. He's the unknown quantity. Although highly experienced in these cars, can the Brazilian carry himself to victory here in round 2 of the championship? Well, further down through the field, that's Pellegrini and Tabino. Of course, not working out for them in terms of strategy for the Brazilians. 5th and 6th overall, still very close. Nip and tuck. Seen Glasky just in the background there in the 09 machine. Just keeping an eye on the left-hand side just in case they move around there. They're still all good. Lasky in 7th. Paneri, you can see him in the background as well. But he's lost a whole heap of time as we head up the hill. But they'll come onto the brakes very shortly. Marnie just falling back. Might be the wise move because he knows it's all going to kick off at any moment now between Castro, Samals and Green as they head up the hill to the highest point of the circuit before we start descending down towards Osgood. They are nose to tail, Taylor.
They are, and looking to the outside of Samos, he's got a decent run. He's going to take the lead. The question is, can he hold it into the right-hander? No, Castro's going to go down the inside. Samos now with a switchback, looking down the inside of the Brazilian. Does he have enough to get alongside him? I think he just might, but it is not going to be enough for now. Castro holds on, and I wonder if Green's going to try anything, or if they'll just have to wait for another go-around as we continue through this next sector of the track. About a minute to go, and here's a big battle a little bit further back as they go up the hill. 2 wide, it was 3 wide about a second ago. Jeff Jacobson on the outside, and he's going to lose out to Gardini on the inside. He might lose out to Cathcart as well. No, he should be okay for now, but a lot of action in the rear as well. Gardini up into 22nd, with Jacobson behind. Castro still leading as we go out of the final corner.
Here we go.
Umpire as well, Tim.
It is indeed. Here we go. 1 lap left to go from Red Bull Ring. And this is turning into a street fight here in the rolling hills of Austria. Castro leads from Samals, Green and Marnie. Will they finish like that? Well, we've only got 1 lap to find out who's got the best exit. Out of turn 1, Nicky Lauda. It's looking advantage Samals as he's in the slipstream. You can almost hear the Jaws music invoking here as he moves the drivers left of Castro. That's going to try and defend it. They bang wheels there on the run up the hill. Green trying to find his way through right around the outside. It's a slower exit if you cover off that inside. But looking for the switchback is Samals, and he might have done enough to get to the inside on the run down to hill towards Slosh Gold. And he's going to get it done here, just about, just maybe, as he edges ahead for the first time in this race. Castro, has he got enough to hold it around the outside? Will he get squeezed as Samals just backs out of it a little bit? But Castro's run in too deep, and Samals sneaks his way through. What can Green do here? Has he got something in the bag to find his way down into Roush and Worth? But he has to back out of it. Castro holds on to second. Marnie still remains fourth. But Samals now leading for the first time. He hasn't led this race whatsoever. And he's realistically got one more opportunity that he's going to have to defend. Can Castro dial it in into Red Bull Mobile? The final corner could get the exit that he needs. But don't forget, the exit comes very fast as they're all moving around. They move left, they move right, they jinx around the track, trying to cover one another off like a game of chess. As here comes Castro, he has a little bit of luck, but needs to be careful of Green on the outside as he compromises his exit. Samals is looking good here, he moves to the inside. Who's got the run? Who's going to take it? Samals takes victory, and I think Green's just nabbed Castro at the line there. What a finish there, gents.
2000th in between Green and Castro. I mean, in the Israel League the other day, we saw an identical finish, not for a position as important as this. In fact, I know it's for a second position, so ignore me, but we saw an identical finish, and now we've seen 2000th in between it. I mean, I'm getting pretty lucky with this, Tim.
You are, and Taylor, welcome along to the Weekend Warriors. It's another average day here in this championship. Well, after leading so much, Panera ends up finishing in 8th. We're still not done and dusted, though. This is your battle further down through the field. Cathcart, Gardini, they've got Jacobson just in front of them. We're going to see another repeat of what we've just seen for the victory here. Here we go, Cathcart on Jacobson. They're going to drag it out to the line. Who's going to take it? And I don't even know who's quite got it. It's Jacobson. Well, oh, that's a bit of a big gap, isn't it? Look at 100th of a second. No, 300ths of a second, in fact, at the line. Well, that was a bit boring in comparison, wasn't it? Well,
yeah, slightly a little bit.
The white line, and that was why he got the penalty. Thank you for letting us know in chat, Marco Paneras. That is a disappointing way to finish off what was otherwise a pretty flawless run for him. He would have wrapped up the Grand Slam, but for Green going one lap extra. So it was an absolutely fantastic run for him. And well, sorry to hear that, Marco. I'm sure you've got plenty of race wins to come.
Taylor, well, what's your first outing? What did you make of this one?
The perfect race for a first outing for sure. I mean, Panero, he had it, and then of course just the pit exit. It's the smallest of margins that took him from the win and gave us what would have been an absolutely beautiful finish for second. It turned it for the overall win, and Samals just had enough. And shout out Jason Green, he made a move out of the final corner to win by 0.02 of a second. I can't even believe it.
Just wait for. No, we go. Everyone has crossed the line. We can bring you up some classified results here from the Red Bull Ring and the SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice. Felix Samals in the end taking the victory. Green just nabbing out Castro at the line there to secure second. Yogmani in the end had to sell for fourth, but my golly, he had the best seat in the house, didn't he? I see he's in the waiting room. Be interesting to chat to him shortly. Pellegrini fifth. There's Sabino, Lasky, Panero, Vaishnuzel and Rodriguez round at your top 10. Overstreet in the end only good enough for 11th. Dantas 12th. Racing Gadwell 13th, 14th overall. They round out your podium in Masters. Berry in the end takes the victory in Spec 2. A great result for him. Wubka and Gibson going to round out the podium 17th, 18th with, of course, Brewster and Mitchell in between Wubka and Gibson there. Jacobson, he was 25th, then Cathcart, Gardini, Wood, Leone, Love, Gould, Gianni Longin, 28th. Then it's Walbolt, last driver on the lead lap. McCain, one lap down the end, round out the top 30. Then we've got Batley, Vaglini, Perkins, Kern, Elson, we're into the retirements now. Latoro, Justice, Pocock, Perry, Mayer, and Bertoni. Let's have a quick chat to some of our drivers working close to time. first off, well, who to pick? I'll tell you what, let's have a chat to our Victor here today. Felix the Mouse joins us in the commentary booth. Felix, congratulations. You didn't have to leave, I mean, you didn't leave any lap whatsoever, but you led when it counted across the line to take the victory.
Yeah, that was a surprise victory. Thanks, unfortunately, to another pit mistake, I'm assuming, from Marco. He probably had a speed in the pit lane. I have no idea. This was totally unexpected from me. So I was counting on second place. So I was fighting for second place, and then when I saw Marco going into the pit lane, I was like, okay, then this just became more interesting. It was a shame because in the beginning, some hard racing made me lose the draft with the leader group. I tried my best to catch them, but it was impossible because Marco basically was pushing them. He was by far, I believe, not by far, but he was the fastest one on track.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Were you disappointed a little bit by your qualifying? I mean, in the end, ultimately, it didn't matter, but you don't expect to see you right up there from the start of the race. And were you a bit disappointed by it at all?
Yes, I was. I didn't get. For some reason, I wasn't feeling very comfortable the whole time. Even during the race, I was faster during the week, and I didn't get a good qualify lap. And especially so, I only got one draft lap, one proper one, and there was like almost an accident in the last few corners. So I didn't improve much. So on this track, if you don't get a good draft lap, you always will qualify poorly. That's what happened to me. I was still hoping with the draft to be able to keep up with Marco, but unfortunately, as I said before, hard racing prevented that from happening. Then everybody stayed in line, and we tried to catch up, but by then it was already too late.
Well, in the end, it was all to avail. It didn't matter. You took the victory. Congratulations. Felix Miles, you win it here today. Tom, I understand you stand by with York Marnie.
I am. Hello, York. Welcome to the commentary box. Obviously, victory in the Masters for you today. A dominant drive, class-wise, but I think in terms of strategy, it was just a case of the lottery didn't quite fall for you to get that overall victory. But overall, you've got to be pretty happy with that day.
Yes, I am, Tom. I really am. I did not expect anything like that because I don't really like Red Bull Ring, not at all. And I was quite surprised that I could follow actually even Marco. And because of the lapped cars, I lost his draft. What I would probably had, the case in later in the race anyway. But I couldn't follow him like that I wanted. And but I'm quite happy. It was a good race, and at the end, it was quite thrilling. I almost could make the podium, but yeah, congrats to the other guys.
And well, in terms of this Masters Championship, you've got to be thinking that, after a couple of really strong runs here, that it's maybe not yours for the taking yet, but you've certainly got a very strong challenge this year.
I'm definitely going to try again to win the Masters. I do, but I was last season very unlucky, almost in every single race. And I hope it goes better this season. But I'm trying to be competitive, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, York, and hopefully we speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and good night.
So
thank you very much.
York Marnie there, who finished winning in class and fourth overall, by probably the best seat in the house. But, well, that's all we've got time for here today from Red Bull Ring, and what a fascinating race it has been indeed. I think it's time for open a cold one and have a bit of a lie down after that. From myself, Tim Cox, Taylor Stolworthy, Tom Dillon and Lee Thompson, thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you in a week's time when the Weekend Warriors rolls across the pond into Road Atlanta. We'll see you then. Good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.